Hi there, Jimmy.
Hey, my name's Zach.
Well, Billy,
Zach.
how would you like to take a break from detention and learn how to make it?
Yeah, shouldn't we, learn by...
Oh, I see what's going on in here.
Do you feel in charge?
So sorry to interrupt. Proceed.
Good evening. Welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman. We've got a full house tonight. Zach Franciscus, Dave Rivera, Bob Quinn, and David Korab. And we are here to kind of talk about the first full week of the offseason. Round 2 of the playoffs just concluded this past weekend. So we were all excited, I'm sure, to see the Bills take down the Baltimore Ravens. That was awesome. I'm not a Bills fan, but anybody over the Ravens is good news. I was excited to see my former hometown team, the Washington Commanders, win a playoff for the first time in a very long time. So that was exciting to see them win over the Lions, and the Eagles beat the Rams, and the Chiefs beat the Texans. I don't know that there was any huge surprises in those games. Maybe Washington a little bit, maybe Baltimore and Bills a little bit. But guys, I'm curious, what did you think watching those teams that won this week, even the teams that lost this week, because I thought everybody put up a pretty good fight. So what did you think in watching those teams that struck you as very different from what you saw when the Steelers played in the wild card game against the Ravens?
I was jealous in every single aspect, from top to bottom, just envy sitting there. I mean, the fact that Mike Tomlin made up this phrase and he can't even do it. Other teams make routine plays routinely all the time, and we struggle to do it. And it was painful watching it. Jealousy in my soul.
Yeah, I tweeted it out today. I've never felt like they're further away from a championship. It's been, and I think in the last 20 years than I do right now. And just watching these other teams play.
You feel like we're further away than we did with Kenny Pickett?
Yeah, I guess because there was a little hope that Kenny Pickett was a first-round pick and he was going to be the next guy, and it went well for about 6 weeks anyway before it all went to hell. But
I think it's more unknown because there's so many free agents. We're losing so many people technically right now, but free agents. So it's the unknown. There's so many players that could go sign somewhere else. So it's,
Carter Benson's here praying for the Pickett dooming the Eagles in the playoff game. Now that Jalen might be hurt, I guess there's some concern that he might not play. So that would be interesting to see how Pickett shits the bed in that game.
Well, as long as he can hand the ball to Saquon Barkley, I don't think there's much else that you need to do.
That's the truth.
That kid's amazing.
Yeah. If you didn't watch the Eagles games, Saquon Barkley is happy to put that team on his back. So in my opinion, it's what Derrick Henry didn't do. I get Derrick Henry was good, but Saquon Barkley was on another level. And I don't think Kenny Pickett needs to throw a pass. In fact, I don't think he should if he wants to win that game.
Yeah.
Right. You kind of make an argument they might be better off with Pickett throwing the ball than Hurts. I mean, Hurts is I mean, the threat of the run and of the RPO and the play action, how they use Jalen Hurts is how we should have been using Justin Fields this season and how we better use him next season.
Yeah, I can agree.
The threat of the run gets guys wide open, and we didn't do that. I mean, our threat of a run was the boot action with Arthur Smith, and they checked it down to the tight end every time, which, it was a nice play for half the season, but there was no, hey, I booed out except for that one great play, where he stopped halfway and threw it downfield to Pickens. I mean, the good part is if you watch Jalen Hurts, and for all the people, we should have got Jalen Hurts. Well, maybe we should get the play caller for Philadelphia and see what happens when you put a bigger arm and a faster guy in that offense. I'd be interested to see.
Got a point there.
Yeah, I think John's point is valid about how much their O-line helps that cause. I mean, they've really done a good job building in the trenches there.
The whole
glaring.
For me personally, I think with the thing about it is like with Fields, the Steelers they've really got to welcome having a running quarterback more, embrace it more. I'd have him run the fucking ball like crazy because you see what happens. You see what Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels and all these guys do when you have to face, when you got to face an offense like that where you have no idea whether you got to stop the running back more or the quarterback more on the ground. It's just so hard to stop. I mean, even the Bills actually limited Henry to only like 83 yards on the ground, but at the same time, that threat hurt. So he was able to air it out too because of the fact they had to worry about him and Henry. It's just tough to stop. I mean, every single offense put up 20+ points this round. Like defenses couldn't hold anybody to under 20 points. No. I don't think anybody did. Right?
Scored 14.
That was it.
An interesting point this morning on the Fan. He said they asked him a very similar question to what I asked you guys. You know, what you think that, you know, what did you see from those games, or what did you learn from those games, like in relation to the Steelers? And he said those games didn't help the Steelers' cause at all. And he said because Mike Tomlin is going to feel so vindicated. Those games were won primarily because of a ground game, a rushing game, and defense, and not in winning the turnover battle. And he said, so all those teams that won, primarily did those things. And he said, so Tomlin is going to feel like, see, I told you can still win games like this.
You know what's glaring when I watch these playoff games? Everybody goes for it on fourth down all the time. Yes, it's not even a thought in their minds. It's like it's 4-down football, and Mike Tomlin, I don't live in my fears, and he's wringing his hands, punting on 4th and 1, punting on 4th and 3. He's so far.
Inches were punting.
Yeah.
Every commentator this weekend made the point of saying that this is a 4-down league now. Yep. This is a 4-down league now.
And he's so behind the times again. Yeah. Where it's, I want to control the clock and punt and be conservative and play defense. While every other team in the league's, every other good team in the league is getting first down on 4th down like it's nothing. You
want to put John out of his misery? He said you got to tell him that Tomlin won't let the offense go. Let Fields try regardless of turnovers. Do you guys agree with that?
That's the key phrase there, regardless of turnovers.
Yeah, I put it on Twitter that they held Fields back because of all the turnovers. He had 43 turnovers.
That's exactly right.
So
I think that
they were scared to death.
Protected the ball, they would have let him go more. Do you know what I mean? Some turnovers, but not so many.
Right. But
no risk it, no biscuit. Who said that?
I think they got to live and die by the sword. I honestly, I just.
Well, you can't win like this.
It's the only way to move the ball. It's the only way to move the ball.
Yeah, they can't win the way they were playing, so they got to figure out something else because that doesn't work. That's been proven.
It doesn't matter where they are in the field. Like Baltimore, for example, they run Mark Andrews up there to take the snap. If it's 4th and less than 1, they're probably going to get it. They're not quite as automatic as Philadelphia, but at this point, if it's 4th and 1 or less, every team, well, not every team, almost every team is running some version of that tush push, and it's virtually unstoppable.
Yep.
Justin Fields is closer in size to Josh Allen than he is Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, all these other guys. He's 2 inches taller, but they weigh about the same. Justin Fields is a load. You put Justin Fields in there, Josh Allen, if it's 4th and 2, they line up and just push him and they get it because he's a monster. You can't take him down.
Actually, that reminds me, but I'm glad you brought that up because did you guys think, like they tried to do that trick play on 4th and 1 where Mariota hiked, he hiked it, but instead of doing a tush push, he was going to flip it back, I think, to Daniels on the 4th and 1, but his running back ran into him, so he couldn't get the ball off. If his running back don't run into him, that's a monster play. But the thought process to come up with that play, like that is next level shit right there.
Yeah, even though they lost, how about that one halfback toss in the Detroit game, and then they shovel passed it back to the tight end. It was awesome.
Yeah,
I was like, where's this creativity? I mean, if anybody knows how to run a halfback toss and should know every wrinkle possible off of it, it's Arthur Smith.
Well, and every time they did the toss, the running back was the fastest one on the team. They didn't go with the Mack truck, CPAT or a slower version of Warren, Najee, who's not as fast. So it was just, it was tough. It was tough to watch.
That is a problem because Tomlin will most likely feel vindicated in all this, and there's nobody around him that will say, well, but you have to have this to do it. No one's telling him that, and that's the problem.
Yep.
100%. And that's what's frustrating me because I know that Leanne is absolutely right that he is saying all that, and I know on all these other teams, there are people around there that those coaches respect that would say, hey, listen, buddy, this, and they'd be like, you know what, that's true. And they'd probably talk about it's Tomlin, or that's kind of frustrating me because it's an unearned vindication.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I was watching all these offenses this weekend, I mean, it makes me sad, but I mean, I was frustrated too. This was honestly my reaction during the Detroit Commanders game.
What?
It's a slap in the face that you won't even try to run. Okay, fine. You want to run the ball every down. You want to bring back, throw the screens. Where's the screens? I mean,
before you even say that, Bob, though, the first thing is personnel. You have to prioritize wide receiver and speed at running back. You can't run those offenses with, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and those. It's not going to work.
Right.
They have to prioritize talent.
Yeah.
They thought they could get away without talent. They thought they could just run the ball and coach up the defense and win that way, and you can't. Not with these offenses in the league now. You can't.
John says that he struggles with Smith's offensive scheme and doesn't fit Fields. Do you guys believe that, I know some of you, at least some of you, believe Fields should be the, quarterback next year. Do you believe that Arthur Smith's scheme fits him well?
Weirdly, I think it does. I'm gonna sound like a broken record.
Don't fit Russell Wilson.
Well, that's what John goes on to say, that it didn't fit them at the end of the year, and it showed.
And it's not the scheme; it's not knowing who to have where. The scheme, I believe, works if you would have the right people doing the right things. If you were tossed to the right people, throw to the right people, have the right. But we don't. We call the right plays to the wrong people all the time. So yeah, the scheme might be working. It doesn't matter at all if you don't know who to put in. So we can scheme all we want. It doesn't matter.
You know what? I'm starting to develop a theory on that with all the stuff that's come out about, Pickens and maybe just how bad off the locker room really was towards the end of the season. I'm wondering if it wasn't Arthur Smith didn't know who to play. Arthur Smith just said, fuck it, I'm going to play the guys who want to play.
I don't think you can rule it out. I don't think you can rule it out.
Honestly, you could be right. My problem is that whenever you take George Pickens off the field and your only wide receiver out wide is Calvin Austin III, gee, I wonder what you're doing. And then on top of that, if it's a running play, why in the world would you put the 5'6" kid out there? Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? And then when they did do any kind of screens, you had Calvin Austin and Van Jefferson out there, your two worst blockers. It just doesn't make sense at all. I don't know why you would never want George Pickens out there. We've seen him block DBs into the freaking next planet. Like, it just doesn't make any sense why you take him off the field. When he wants to block, he's a good blocker.
The point about speed is a good one. The two fastest guys on the team, well, Calvin Austin maybe is in the top two.
I think he's
no. Justin Fields is
the fastest.
Oh, well, if you count
Fields,
quarterbacks, absolutely.
But Fields, Austin, who's fast, not as fast as he was coming out of college because of the ankle injury or the foot injury. He's still fast, but the next guy is probably Peyton Wilson. Your inside linebacker, your second inside linebacker, is the third fastest guy on the team.
Yeah, they need more speed on offense. They do.
That's bad.
Do you think they tried? Do you think they just went to the other end of the spectrum? Because I remember there was a couple of years. The name Dre Archer is going to strike people where we drafted purely for speed, and that seemed to be the only thing. It's like we went to the Madden thing and sorted by speed, and then drafted the first guy up there. So do you think that scared us away because none of those picks worked out? Now we're just the opposite direction. We're like, okay, no speed at all.
Did you see that I forget who put it out there on X, but Saquon Barkley has more 62-yard runs than the Steelers have had in, 19 years or something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They don't play big play football.
We've only had two. Warren has one, and the other one was Willie Parker, I think he said, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can probably go back further than that. Think about it. When the bus was running the ball, I love the bus, but he would occasionally break off a 40 or 50-yarder, but
my man wasn't going to take it to the house.
Cordell ran quite a few, so Cordell was good on the long runs. I remember.
Yeah,
he was. That's a good.
And that was back when we used to do like reverses and we knew how to be creative. So other players were running the ball successfully, other than like just one or two people. So that might have been it too.
But
Yeah, I mean, well,
basically,
they love
what Bob
to have
you're
that,
saying, yeah, dude, like we got to get more offensive guys with a lot of speed. Have to.
Yeah.
Period.
It's not happening, John.
Yeah, John wants Smith to get a head coaching job, forcing him to
that's
pick another OC. I mean, is he even going to get a head coaching job?
He's only up
Not
for
only-
one more, right? He lost the
not
Bears
only-
when the Jets is the only
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Not only is he not going to get one this year, he's never getting another one again. I said this about a month ago. The stink of these next couple seasons is going to cost him. He should have taken a North Carolina job when he had a chance.
Yeah,
Because he's
go to college, I think.
maybe college, but not in the pros. He's never getting a head coaching job in the pros again. The young guys are already passed him by. He's not the hot coordinator anymore. He's the failed head coach that's running the Steelers offense right now. Who the fuck wants that? Who's going
He
to hire
says he
that?
doesn't want Smith involved with the next quarterback pick. Do you think there's any chance that even happens? I mean, if he's still there, he's
probably better than Tomlin
Yeah,
to pick a quarterback.
Yeah.
He wasn't. Don't worry, he wasn't going to be involved in it. There's only, from a brain trust perspective, and I'm reminded of this guy who used to always blow up my Twitter, but I kept telling him, "Nah, you don't know what you're talking about." But he insists that he worked for the Steelers, wouldn't give his name in the 70s, and that since Chuck Noll, the head coach always has the final say behind the scenes on who the draft pick is. If that's true, I mean, then, Noll didn't miss very often, but Tomlin and Cowher missed a bunch if they were the ones actually making that decision. So, I mean, at this point, you've already blown the quarterback choice for Tomlin. He was the pick. There's no way the culprit on his way out the door picked the franchise quarterback for the next 10 years.
We were told it was Rooney. Rooney loved Kenny Pickett. I've heard that from a couple people.
The local media all say that Tomlin, it's Tomlin's decision, primarily his decision who the draft pick is, but he consults with Omar and the positional coaches and the offensive defensive coordinator or whoever, but that Art Rooney can override him if he wants to, and that's happened. So I don't know. They never say when it happened necessarily, but it's happened. So
we were told that Rooney didn't want to pass up the next great Pitt quarterback like they did with Dan Marino back in the day.
Right. Yep.
So he wasn't going to pass on Kenny Pickett.
Well, epic fail
No
on
chance.
that one. Art.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah, he was no Dan Rooney. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Tomlin. So we talked about Arthur Smith, and he is, out there putting his name out there for some head coaching jobs. But Adam Schefter reported this weekend that some teams, including the Chicago Bears, reached out to have a conversation about a possible trade for Tomlin, and it was immediately shut down. No interest. Don't bother asking. I don't know that this surprised anybody, considering Tomlin said as much during his press conference that don't bother calling, I'm not interested, or whatever the words were he used, but to that effect. So what did you guys think when you heard that? I know there's people who are disappointed they wanted him to go or whatever. I think we kind of knew that wasn't realistic, but were you surprised that they didn't even talk about it or appeared to not talk about it?
No.
Personally, I did. Really. I don't have much to say about it, but yeah, it didn't surprise me. I was surprised the call got through. I was surprised they even got that far. So.
See, I was gonna say, anytime a number from Chicago calls, I would pick up the phone. It's just.
I think if Art pitched it
these motherfuckers always give us something crazy. Let's hear what they got to say.
And that's my thing. Let me hear what you got to say.
If Art pitched it to Tomlin, listen, we need to reset, blah blah blah. We need you to do this for the organization. Give us this one solid. You're gonna get paid. It's a good team. But that never happened, and it never was gonna, because Rooney doesn't want him to go. But I think, like I said, if Rooney pitched it to him, he might consider it. But they're all.
Tomlin want to go to Chicago? I mean,
they have the quarterback. They have
but
a lot of skill.
Shitty ownership. It's a terrible system.
He could disaster. He could name his. He could say, "I want this general manager. I want this much control."
Not the same ownership.
Yeah.
And I forget who it was. Someone brought up a good point that the problem with Tomlin is that he would command such a high price that he would be going to a team that he wouldn't have a lot of a future in the draft for the team that he was going to because of what the Steelers would get in return. I don't know how true that is, but if he went to Chicago, if we fleeced him, he would be going to a team possibly without 2 draft picks for the next 2 years.
The Bears have a good defense. They have a franchise quarterback, or at least they think they do. I don't think Caleb Williams is a
No, they ruined those.
They've got young wide receivers. I mean, if he was going to try to leave, it was about as good a situation as you can get. And look, from the Steelers' perspective, to not even talk about it, you got the 10th overall, the 39th, and the 41st pick this year. I mean, yeah, give us first, a second, next year's first, and
that's what John Gruden got. That's exactly what John Gruden got.
I mean, all of a sudden, Peyton got 2/3 and I think a first. Too.
I think for the Steelers, it's kind of like how they deal with the contract during the season. They're like the second, like maybe Rooney for a moment looked at Tomlin, he's like, any interest? Second, Tomlin said no, he's like, and that door slammed.
Yeah, I don't
because
even think
I guarantee Rooney.
I don't even think he asked him.
If he would have gone to him, I guarantee Tomlin probably would have been pissed off. Like, what? Why are you coming to me with this shit? I told you, no. And we're just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to rile him up. I don't want to get into. I'm just gonna leave it.
Let's not think Mike Tomlin wants to do the franchise any favors either, because if he did, wouldn't have a no trade contract or clause in his contract. The fact that he put that in there means he knows that, hey, this is a viable way for the Steelers to get out of my contract. Is to send me somewhere.
I don't agree with that. This is business too. You have to also protect yourself at the same time. Nobody does this shit out of the
coach has
their
no
heart.
trade clause?
That's why I don't believe it's even true.
It's not entirely unheard of. Players have them too.
What coach? Name one.
Well, we
I don't know all
know.
the coaches' contracts.
Well,
it doesn't surprise me.
We don't know.
We don't even know if he has one. I think they put that out there.
I was going to say, do we even really know for sure that
No,
he
we
has
don't.
one?
I think that the Steelers leaked that to squash all these rumors.
Yeah.
So he's got no trade clause. We can't even talk about it. Why bother? I mean, Mike Tomlin's going to put a no trade? Like, does that ever enter his mind that he could be traded? I mean, his ego's already out of control. Like, he didn't think of that. I don't buy that at all.
Actually, that makes a lot of sense. That
then why would he put it in the contract?
We don't know if he did, Bob. We really don't.
And
also, I know coaches don't. We don't know a lot of the other coaches' details because they don't bring it because it's Mike Tomlin and the issues were swirling. If it's true or not, the Steelers could have brought up. It could be in every other coach's contract too, or the major. Andy Reid could have it. We legitimately don't know because I guarantee Andy Reid wouldn't say a word about it, even if it was.
Nobody would.
So this
whole we don't know it. The contracts are public. They're public, and and multiple. I mean, multiple outlets.
Where are they public?
The no trade company. Yeah, they're released to the public. Yeah, they are. The contracts are public. Florio goes through the contracts of every player and every coach constantly, and they've all reported on this no trade.
I thought coaches were under a different umbrella, and that's how you don't necessarily.
Because we don't even know when Tomlin's contract ends.
I'm trying to look it up, and I can't.
People are always guessing.
They say it's a guess because I was looking into who was eligible for. What line coach, positional coaches, and like offensive and defensive coordinators, like when their contracts end. When I was doing an article last week, and all of it was like, well, this is a guess because we know the Steelers usually do 3 years, and we think they signed him, extended him in 22 or whatever, and so we're guessing it's going to be in 20. You know what I mean? They say that they don't made public the same way player contracts are.
Yeah, but they are, and I mean, even USA Today reported that he has the no trade contract.
Yeah, because that was going around because Schefter said it.
No, they reported it when he signed the extension.
But even if that's the case, I don't think that makes him a selfish person or a bad teammate. I mean, I think that's business.
But he's not some noble character who's only out for the good of the franchise either.
Who said that?
I still think it's common things now that some guys are going to have no trade clauses. They just are.
Yes.
Players.
I find it strange that a coach, because it's only happened like twice in the last 25 years. I find it odd that they would put that in, unless it was brought up to him before this last contract. He's like, I'm not going down that road again.
It seems contradictory though, because on one side everyone's saying, well, Rooney's in love with Tomlin and Tomlin's in love with him and they don't want to leave. But on the other hand, if Mike Tomlin felt that he was in a situation where the Rooneys might all of a sudden take the rug out from under him, I have to have a no clause. And that seems too contradictory trains of thought to me.
Yeah.
So you can't have one without it's the same way where if Mike Tomlin has full control over everything, and that's what we go back to, then if Arthur Smith decided to not run something or tried to do a little tantrum, he would most likely be out the door faster than Canada. So if those are the things that it's two contradictory trains of thought to me that I can't make sense. So one of the two could be true. It's just not both.
Even had a conversation is because I believe that Rooney and Tomlin are so in lockstep about so many things. Do you know what I mean? That they just have worked together for so long. They know what the other one is thinking and what they're wanting to do. And, I'm sure they have conversations as the season goes on or the season ends. You have your season ending meeting or whatever the hell it is and talk about stuff. So you don't necessarily need to have a conversation with him, because if he was interested in getting traded, he would come and talk to you about it. Or if you really wanted him to do it, you would go and talk to him about it.
Yeah. But again, it should be the Steelers' choice, not Mike Tomlin's choice. If he goes to them and says, I want to be traded, the no trade clause doesn't protect the team. It only
she's right, though. He doesn't have to be traded. If he asks for a trade, they don't have to trade him.
Right.
I mean,
he can say
which
no.
is why the team doesn't need a no clause contract. Look, if you want to look deeper into it, Art is 72. He's older than Dan Rooney and Art Rooney, the chief, when they turned over the team. Maybe that no trade contract clause is in there because Dan Rooney, he doesn't know what he's going to do if he takes over the team. And if he's under contract still, maybe he wants a little protection. Maybe all of a sudden Daniel Rooney would look at it and say, hey, I can get a first in 2 seconds. Yeah. 19 years is enough.
I brought it up last week that a lot of the local media were saying that they think that, Rooney's got maybe 2 more years left, which kind of would coincide with, the end of Tomlin's contract. And he doesn't want to go down this way and in a dark fog or whatever. And so they're hoping for, 2 more years to make things better.
Like a complete new beginning. Once Tomlin goes, whenever AR2 goes, basically. So this is a whole brand new beginning.
Look how dark it is for Washington after moving on and getting a new coach.
Oh, well, nobody's saying they shouldn't move on. That's a whole different thing, Bob.
40 years of abject shit, bullshit. I mean, I listened to it year after year about this new player or new quarterback. They waste all these draft picks. They bring in guys that were used to play for Pittsburgh that were no good anymore and overpay them. And then, bring in new coaches and bring back Joe Gibbs and all these things. And it was always going to be the answer. And all it ever did was set them further and further back. Vicky's here. She says she's not sure why Tomlin being traded is even a discussion point, because the Rooneys will never do that, but it's not their style and it's not how they work. It is not how they think. It is not how they think. It will not happen.
Well, it's a discussion point because we all know he's the number one asset on the team. If he's the one, if they traded, they could get the most back in return, and it's not close.
Number one asset, no one number one problem.
John says,
and that too.
Yeah.
It could be worse. We could be the Ravens with Lamar as quarterback, teasing us for 7 years, only to have in the playoffs.
I don't know,
John. I think there's Steeler fans that would like to have that.
I genuinely don't know which one I would, because we've had that with Ben, and I remember those heartbreaks getting really. Yeah,
at least you were in the
Jaguars game.
But I don't know which one was worse. Genuinely, I know the hurt of this, but I also remember the AFC championships and just sitting there. I didn't talk to my fiance at the time for 8 hours. I literally just sat there in silence.
Well,
I'd take 3 and 5 over 0 and 8.
But here's no. Here's the difference.
Yes.
Back then, we actually had legit hope we could make it. Yeah. Now we know we can't. We've been last 2 or 3 years. We've been calling it. They're going to go 9-8, 10-7, and get blown out first game in the playoffs. We've been predicting that for the last 2-3 years.
Ravens.
At least back then, we had legit hope. It wasn't false hope. Yeah. It was real hope that we actually could make it. When you had Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, I mean, and you had we had hope with the Killer Bees. We really did. Someone failed to build the defense. Someone failed to build the defense.
Right.
To match it.
It was built. It just wasn't coached correctly.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What happens if the Ravens fire Harbaugh?
That's a legitimate question.
We can't compare the Ravens and Steelers. They're in different stratospheres.
Yeah,
but
they have their quarterback.
But Harbaugh's 3-7 in the playoffs since he won the Super
Bowl.
Yeah,
he's not much better than Tomlin.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they get better. Maybe they win a Super Bowl.
Head coach.
Yeah, hey, you guys want to hear some entertaining talk about how a head coach how a head coach is hated?
Yeah, they hate him.
Listen to Baltimore radio for
Really
yeah,
a
they
while.
hate him. All right, so if we're not trading Tomlin, we don't think Arthur Smith is getting a head coaching job. He's obviously still on contract, which seems unlikely that he will be the person the Steelers, make their scapegoat here. Talking about change coming, who is the coach that you would most like to see get shown the door that's not named Tomlin?
Arthur Smith.
Head coach or Steelers coach?
Steelers coach. I don't care about other teams.
Arthur Smith, but since I don't think he will, Terrell Austin. I think there's maybe a 5% chance he might go, and there's a 0% chance Arthur Smith is going. So,
yeah,
I don't think Tomlin's getting rid of his puppet either. He's not.
Do you guys think there's somebody that they'll make the scapegoat, like Pat Meyer or
what happened?
One of the
what happened?
Assistants?
They should, but it's been how many days now?
Yeah, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Pat Meyer would be my choice, but they're bringing the band back. This is going to be the same coaching staff.
Fittipaldo said that he's gone as late as the end of January before he's made changes to his staff. So he said, I wouldn't say that he counts it out yet, but I keep hearing Cavalli said it, Fittipaldo said it. They think that it's more likely that he brings in some sort of special assistant that actually lets anybody go. And that's going to be the, quote, big change.
I'm all for that.
He needs to bring in about
all
10
for
assistants.
Right.
10.
Yes, just all
that's
of them.
He needs to do.
A passing coordinator or something like that.
Lined up outside the door.
Or
a run
dude,
coordinator.
when you see these teams, they have an extra coordinator for every position. Every single fucking position. They have an extra assistant to help the coordinators and them with it. It's amazing to see it. I don't know. For me, with Arthur Smith, it's just he doesn't use the right personnel. He doesn't scheme to get players open. He's so predictable. Like I said, in the playoffs, if you didn't score over 20 points, you were cooked. Like you had no shot. And he couldn't do it the last 5 games in a row. Just horrendous.
Do you think our results would have been better if we had never benched Fields?
Oh yeah,
it's an interesting question. It's very interesting.
I can argue yes and no. Yes, if they let him be himself and go, that yes.
Yes,
but they wouldn't. That's the problem. They would keep that poor kid in a box. They would not let him be himself.
I mean, 6 games,
really let him go.
We didn't see him loosening the leash much. They kept kind of saying they were loosening the leash, but I didn't see it.
I didn't see them do that at all.
No.
They never did. Oh, I'm sorry. They did when it was too late. They waited until the fourth quarter when they were down, and then all of a sudden Justin roars them back. But sometimes they came up short, like against the Colts. And,
but when you get him in the red zone and the play breaks down on the pass, you 100% guarantee, because we saw it multiple times.
Yeah, he runs.
I don't care if nobody's open. I'll run it, and then he'll get the touchdown.
Right.
Well, that's actually a good point. Sorry, Bob. Go.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, look, it's not that Justin Fields is the greatest quarterback and he's going to all of a sudden be a top 10 quarterback. He just gives you different options as a wrinkle. You cannot plan for Justin Fields. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh yeah, no, John, to the point with the strength coach, because Tomlin, 3 or 4 times mentioned the soft tissue injuries and all that. Yeah. So I think maybe a scapegoat is going to be the equivalent of us putting pads on, or the equivalent of Matt Canada going down to the side.
They just hired him.
This guy?
Brand new.
They hired this guy last year, right?
Yep.
That's the big change coming to Pittsburgh, guys.
Yeah,
it's bad.
That would make me so angry.
Hey, wasn't there a thing that the players were mad that Tomlin made them practice in pads as well, though?
Yes.
So again,
okay.
I can't even put the blame on the. I can't even put the blame on the strength conditioning coach. It was Tomlin that pushed the fucking practice in pads.
They have
sometimes you need that
8 padded practices.
Well, yeah, but at the end of the season, whenever you're tired and worn out and got injuries, maybe not, Dave. Maybe not.
This is an interesting comment. Hi, Moneybags. I haven't seen you here before. He says, or she says, the quarterback switch was to satisfy Pickens, in my opinion. Do you guys think there's any validity?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Fields and Pickens were close.
Yeah, I thought they were boys.
Yeah, but Fields wasn't getting on the ball like Pick,
I was gonna say, but Pickens
like-
prioritizes nothing over getting the ball. So boys or not,
Yeah,
if you're not
I get the
throwing
feeling
ball,
He got the majority of the targets at the beginning of the season. Let me pull that
not
up.
like Russ did. Though Russ was giving him the ball deep, which is what he wants. He wants
he wants
he wants
flat.
deep ball.
Mo-
Yeah.
Most of the games
Exactly.
where he threw tantrums were
James,
with
didn't
Wilson.
want to give a 4th pick versus 6th. I've been
Oh,
saying
on
that.
Fields. Yeah, we.
I still don't buy that.
Oh,
I mean-
I do. The way they cover draft picks, I believe it.
You know,
And
I didn't before,
and
but
it pushed down his asking price at the end of the season. Do you guys
Weird
even
time.
want to
Yeah,
know
but are
his? Do you guys want to know Fields' market value per spot track?
What's that?
Yeah.
Per spot track, and usually they're higher, right?
yeah,
So I say spot
Yeah.
track's higher. $8.9 million. That's his market
I'm
value.
okay with that. Hey, first time I'll
8.9
try money back.
million. That's it.
I'm okay with that.
Big Poppy
Um,
brings up a good point that colleges practice in pads all year round and don't have the same soft tissue injuries.
Yeah.
Now I don't know a lot about college, but isn't one thing I know
Merrill
that college
Hodge
players
swears
say,
that they didn't have the same injuries because they got hit more and practiced harder than the players do now, and that's why they didn't grow their ACLs and
I
Achilles.
don't disagree. I mean,
A lot of the older
disagree.
players say that. A lot.
There
of
is
them.
there's something about that switch to no hitting at all that I do believe has had something to do with this.
Yeah.
I just, for me, at the end of the season when guys are injured and tired, I just didn't think it was smart to go back to banging into each other again before a game. That's just
Yeah,
the way
they're
I
pretty
look at
beat
it.
up. So while we're talking about Pickens, what do you all think is coming for him this offseason? I think there's some options, like they could not offer him an extension on his contract, right? So he'd essentially be like Najee Harris was this season, where he'll be a free agent after the season. They could extend him before the season starts because they don't do contract negotiations during the season, or they could trade him now during the off season and move on from him. What do you guys think they will do with Pickens? Who would be interested in him, and what would be appropriate compensation?
I think a lot of teams would be interested.
Yep, and trade him now because it's a big risk to let him go the entire next season on the off chance he just nosedives or pulls an Antonio Brown. I'm hoping this is a reverse curse that I'm wearing. This will reverse what's going on. But I just trade him now and get an extra pick that you weren't expecting to have that you can use on a wide receiver, because I want us to stock up on legitimate guys. So if you're going to trade him, do it now.
I don't know if they wouldn't trade him to a top AFC contender. I wouldn't think.
Yeah, no. He's going NFC.
I don't think they would. The thing that gives me pause, though, is that, there were other guys that they had trades ready to go. Like, I think it was AB they were going to trade to Buffalo, and he turned it down or something. Like,
yeah, I think that.
So, like, that sometimes makes me wonder if they would. But me, like, I could see them trying to see if Carolina wants to have another go at it. Who else? The Raiders. They have Myers, but I mean, like, they lost Devontae Adams. Like, maybe they'd be interested in getting a wide receiver. We've always done good with them with that.
They're going to take Najee Harris, it sounds like.
Another one I thought of was,
49ers.
do the Titans have anybody that would be better than Pickens on that group?
You could say Ridley, maybe.
Not better.
Not right
Ridley,
now.
but he's
not
injured a
better than-
lot. Pickens was injured this season too. But those were the kind of teams I've looked at. I was like, I could see maybe they want to get a wide receiver.
David,
maybe.
what do you think is fair compensation for him?
He's going to be you say David or Dave? I didn't hear which one you asked.
David.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think he's technically a rental. It's a 1-year rental. So right now, I think at best they could get a third. At best.
Yeah,
Is that worth it, considering we have to replace him?
Say that one more time.
Is it worth it, considering we have to replace him?
No.
A third?
A third, no.
You almost have to get a wide receiver
maybe.
back. You have to get a wide receiver back. Maybe somebody's
If they
trying
can
to
get
deal
a
with
third
another
and a
problem.
player, maybe.
You just trade problems.
Is
I'm
this
at the
a deep
point,
wide
guys.
receiver class.
No.
Oh, okay. I was. I thought I heard somewhere it was a deep wide receiver class.
No, it's not.
The draft?
Add
No.
quarterback. Oh,
No.
No.
Well then,
It's a horrible situation.
Fun.
That's why, like, I've kind of almost wanted to recanter I'm done with him because
You have to. You can't trade him.
the loss
I don't
of
know if
him would be catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
Like. So
Catastrophic.
I don't.
Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin.
That's what I mean. That's
Starting wide
seriously what we're going to be freaking looking at. I mean, then that's what scares me because when somebody said, "Oh, well, we have Roman Wilson," but we don't really know what we have in Roman Wilson.
No
Like, I'm not knocking the kid. I'm sure he's great, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, something transpired that we don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? So we can't rule out the fact that maybe he's not.
If he turns out to be good next year, I mean, there should be people stay in the stands with bags on their heads, holding up signs to fire the entire coaching staff. I mean, if Roman Wilson turns out to be good, and I hope he does, then why the hell couldn't he get on the field in his rookie year?
Yeah,
with this wide receiving core.
Yep.
It's what makes me think there's something else to this.
There has to be.
With him.
Either that or they're just grossly incompetent, one or the other.
Yeah, you know what? Call up Jim Harbaugh in the Chargers and say, "Hey, you willing to give us a third for Roman Wilson right now?" And if the answer is yes, then you should take a long look at what happened. Because, hey, why is it a guy who's going to be in demand, a first-round draft pick who was a third-round last year, who didn't play a lick, and all of a sudden his old coach wants it? Look, could they? Bottom line is they ain't going to get a first for Pickens. It's not going to happen. It's only happened like 10 times in the last 25 years that a wide receiver has gone for a first-round draft pick. And does Pickens have first-round talent? Sure he does. But is somebody going to trade for him? No. And if they do trade for him, take a look at what DeAndre Hopkins got. Fourths, fifths. That's what we're looking at. So you're either going to give him away and go with all rookies and hope to hell that T. Higgins doesn't re-sign in Cincinnati. Otherwise, it's Devontae Adams, it's Stephon Diggs, it's a 30-year-old receiver. Boy, that's worked out well for us.
That's what I mean. If you got to trade him, if you do trade him, you got to trade him. You have to get a wide receiver back. Somebody else's problem who's pretty good. You just swap problems, or
That's a good point.
I'm grasping at stuff.
I like
a DJ Moore, like a straight trade for DJ Moore. Would you
possibly?
Do that?
But DJ Moore's not really a problem, and why would Chicago?
Well, we talked about the Justin Fields thing. If they make Justin Fields a quarterback, he might want to come.
Well,
they would do George. I think they would do
George
Pickens.
Chicago, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, he was disgruntled in Chicago. I mean,
I'd
it's
be
enough
okay
for them
with
to
that.
want to
Go
get rid of
bananas.
him. I don't know about that, but
You want to see George Pickens go nuts in Chicago with that coach and that quarterback?
Let's talk a little bit about those wide receiver free agents and what our options really are. So every show right now for the next couple of weeks, we're going to focus on a different positional group where we kind of talk about, how it went at that position for our team, which I think we're kind of doing right now with wide receivers, and this was bleak. And then talk about what's out there in free agency, or maybe even draft picks if we happen to know of them, what we're thinking. So what are you guys thinking? I mean, I think this is the reality. Big Poppy said it earlier, that if we let go of Pickens, then you have to replace Pickens as well as still get the other wide receiver you never had to begin with. So we're looking at a minimum of one wide receiver. But look, realistically, right, don't we need like three? Because we need to be able to let go of some of those other guys we had. So who do you guys like that's out there? Big Poppy says that coaches get paid to coach, and they should spend the offseason coaching him up. We need Pickens.
I think all of us agree, like the T. Higgins is our that's our what we want. If we get T. Higgins, that would be a big plus.
Do you think that's reasonable? Do you think T. Higgins is going to end up commanding so much money that the Steelers go, that's too rich for our taste?
Not only that, when you go to T. Higgins and say, well, we don't have a quarterback yet. Our offense doesn't score points. We don't take chances. We don't throw the ball. T. Higgins is going to go, what? No, I'm moving on to the next team. T. Higgins is not coming to the Steelers. Guys, get over it. It's not happening. No free agent worth his salt is coming here.
Cincinnati. I'm telling you right now, he's going to re-sign in Cincinnati.
He could.
I wonder the same. I do wonder.
We have serious defensive problems. I mean, if you're spending T. Higgins money and he wants to get paid, he needs his ego stroked in the form of dollar bills, and they have serious defensive problems if they want to really compete.
Oh, just focus the draft. You've got everything else you need on offense. Just keep drafting defense the next 3-4 years and
just do what Kansas City and Philly do. Just pick all young guys and roll with it.
Try to coach him up. Yeah.
What would you guys think of a guy like Darius Slayton?
That's the best option, Dave. That's the best option.
He's
like
still in his 20s.
He's not. You're not getting a number one.
Yeah, I think he's better than what they've had at number 2, though. That's the way I look at it.
Oh yeah.
I think
then
he's
that means
better.
absolutely keeping Pickens.
Yeah, if you're keeping Pickens, I could see getting a Darius Slayton. Now I don't like his market value; it's kind of high going off Spot Track. It's like 15.9 mil. So I
That's
think
not bad for wide receiver. Though,
that's kind of, I don't know,
honestly.
for me. Well, the problem with Darius Slayton though is that his health. If he could stay healthy, okay, I could see justifying the 15 mil. But now here's the best part about it is even in an injury-riddled season, he put up 573 yards, had 2 touchdowns, 39 receptions. But like
big play against the Steelers.
If he was healthy, man, maybe that guy does give us an 800 to a 1,000 yard season, and we actually end up having a legitimate number 2 to pair with George. That's the kind of guy I look at. Another one I like is again, it's a health problem with these guys. Is a Noah Brown. When Noah Brown's healthy, he produces. I mean, even another one that was injured this season, but still put up almost 500 yards. These are guys that can get separation, can get open, can make contested catches, but they can't get healthy enough. Is my problem. But they also could become cheap as well.
I keep hearing Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs.
Godwin is signing in Tampa.
And that's why I'm bringing up different people, guys. I'm trying to be realistic here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be realistic, and I'm trying to be different from the easy ones.
Right.
Sure, Diggs, sure.
Godwin's going back to Tampa. That's a done deal.
Yeah, Cooper's been a no-show in the playoffs.
Alex said we need to hold open tryouts like in the 70s. Just find someone out there who can play wide receiver.
Bob, you got your cleats and your shorts. You ready to go? Try out.
That was the Eagles, not the Steelers.
Yeah,
Dave, you brought up
Godwin. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. What was that?
Dave brought up a really, really good point because I think we're already messing up the moments here that free agents are looking at when they're looking at what are the Steelers doing to change what happened last season. And right now the answer is nothing so far. And that's a great point because we can say all we want, but if unless there's like an amazing behind the scenes bond with Tomlin or someone else on the team that we don't know about, we're going to have to hope a realistic, like legitimate receiver gains to come to us right now. Unless we prove that we have changed. Which
Devontae
right now,
Adams said he would come.
That's one.
He did.
He did say.
Wouldn't mind that. Just don't bring the other guy.
Yeah, just leave your pal at home.
Well, you either get one of his 2 pals. You either get Aaron Rodgers or you get Derek Carr.
No, we don't need either one of those.
What is with this best friends bullshit? Like, this isn't Step Brothers. Whoever interviewing is a team.
You're in like the fucking wolf pack or some shit.
Yeah, like what
you don't need that.
Well, when you're Devontae Adams, apparently you command that kind of respect.
I was trying to find Devontae Adams' age. Isn't he like 32 or going to be 32?
Yeah, he's in his upper 30s, but he's well past 30.
Yeah,
I mean, he was also he's still coming off a great year. He has a
I was what I was about to say, Bob, was that he's still productive. So like,
yeah.
I mean, I can't beat what we had at number 2 this season. I mean,
what would you get for Devontae Adams? What's realistic? What would you get?
Going to be a free agent.
That's right. He's going to be a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent, man. Like we can just sign him.
I mean, technically the Jets can pay him $44 million.
So what would you pay him?
He's gonna $20 million a season's a minimum, right? With him, he's gonna come in.
He's getting cut because he's owed 44.
Yeah.
For this season.
He was 32 in December.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe a little less than 20, maybe between 16 and 20.
Oh, so
I don't think you're getting him in the building for under 25.
What's that?
I don't think you're getting him in the building for under 25. He made 33.
Maybe I'm shorting it a little bit. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. I think I think we talked about this. He'd be the grown up in the room for Pickens. That might be a good influence for him. That might be a smart move because he is, he's been a professional his whole career.
Finally bring a veteran in that we've tried to get with the Robinsons and the Van Jeffersons that did not work out. Maybe that would work, but it's because just say that
he's got the cachet that those guys don't have. He's actually been, a big time Pro Bowl receiver, Allen Robinson and Van Jefferson.
All-Pro Probably
Yeah.
the best wide receiver in football for 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
There's no way they're paying Adams 35. His base salary in 2025 is $35.6 million.
Yeah, he's $44 million. He's getting cut. Everybody knows he's getting cut.
Yeah, Devontae Adams. Devontae
Adams.
$35.6 million is the base salary. Like, there's no way.
Yeah, he's at
I'm
44
sorry.
million cap hit.
I misspoke. The cap hit's $38.3 million.
They must have restructured it.
They ain't paying him that. There ain't no way.
Relic says to go make a trade for Alan Lazard, which brings me to my next question. Is there a wide receiver out there that you think that the Steelers can make a trade for? I mean, obviously there's always guys we'd love to have, but I mean, realistically, where you think the team might be willing to work with us, is there somebody out there that you think might be tradable?
I don't think so.
I don't.
The Jets kid said if Aaron Rodgers came back, he'd want to be traded. So
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. He said if Aaron Rodgers comes back, he wants to be traded.
That would be a splash. I'd be willing. Like honestly, you.
Wilson would be a nice
If the guys that Aaron Rodgers wanted to be successful with and be successful with them would be a wonderful thing. If you got Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson,
that's a first round pick plus.
That's
the Garrett Wilson.
I mentioned you have to immediately sign him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me,
and it's going to cost you
that's
20-something million a year.
That's the splash you do when you prove that hey, we need to turn our offense around. This is to me, Garrett Wilson on this team. Pay what you need to do to make that happen if it can. It won't, but it can.
Justin Fields for $8.9 million. You can afford it. Just saying.
Yeah. Sure, you sign Russell Wilson, you can't afford anything.
Does Metcalf do anything for you guys? I mean, he might be available. Metcalf from Seattle.
Oh, Metcalf. I would take Metcalf.
I don't know if he really is available.
Up for him, but I mean, I would take him.
You're probably looking at a second for him.
We're talking to pair with George, correct?
Oh,
yeah, most likely.
I think Seattle thinks their window is open. I don't think.
Yeah, you could probably get the other receiver there. I'm escaping his name.
They didn't make the playoffs though, right? I mean,
no, they didn't.
I don't. I don't know if they do think their window's open or not. I'm not sure. I mean,
they got a very young team outside of Smith's a little bit older. Metcalf is actually older than you think he is too.
Yeah, he's up there now. It's been a while now, right?
He's still under 30, but he's close.
Right,
like
higher 20s. Yeah.
It's also, talking about trading a problem for another. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to talk them into Pickens to get Metcalf because you can't have the two of them in the same locker.
That would be fun. That would be theater. Metcalf and Pickens on the same team. That would be something. I'm here for it. Let's go.
You almost need a team that's kind of not so good, that's got an overpriced wide receiver, or at least a guy. Olave isn't. The Rams are. I don't think
he's 32 now.
Yeah,
they'd trade him. I think they would trade him. They would definitely listen to offers on him. But
yeah, they got Nakua. They trade him. I guarantee that.
I don't. He's got a good relationship with Sean McVay. I don't see that. Plus, you're going to end up paying him $25 million. Why are you going to? You don't want to trade for a 32-year-old wide receiver who's slow.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a slot receiver.
He's a good wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver, but he's going to fall off sooner or later. So why pay that kind of money for someone?
Yeah,
who's 5
years ago he had a great year.
You're taking. Well, he's injured a lot too, but when he's healthy, he's really good. So,
yeah,
but I get the point. I get Bob's point though of like, why would you pay money to a guy at any moment? Either one going to be injured or two could fall off a cliff in talent. Like, it is a borderline thing to do at 32 years old. I don't know if I'd take a chance like that either.
I wouldn't go anywhere near Olave. I think you brought him up. Too many concussions, man. He's one concussion away from being out of the league.
Yeah,
I wouldn't touch him.
Yeah, but that's the kind of guy who's going to be there.
He says he can't see blowing big money on a wide receiver with that quarterback room. He just doesn't know. And I guess my thought is how do we really know what the hell we have in our quarterback room if we don't have any weapons for them to utilize? Like, how do you really evaluate Justin Fields as a quarterback if you keep him, if he's got no one to throw the ball to? I mean, I just don't, so to me, you almost have to bring that wide receiver in, and then you can really take a look at Fields. I'm assuming it would be Fields. Take a look at him and see how he does. And then you say, okay, then he is our guy and we think we can develop him, or he isn't. And in 26, then you're able to look at a quarterback and you need to have talent in your room. I mean,
So
look at
and-
Jalen
and
Hurts.
that
They
kinda-
gave him A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. He only throws the ball 20 times a game, but he targets both of them
yes,
7 and 8 times.
right.
But
point.
there's 2 of them and a really good tight end in Dallas Goedert. So
Yeah.
I know. Last
But
I
we
checked,
saw
we
flashes
got
of
0 of 3 of those.
Pat Fryermuth, when he had better receivers there, when we had better receivers, Fryermuth looked like a better tight end than he does now.
It does
You're
make his
saying-
job easier when his
Yeah,
better wide
when they had
receivers.
DJ and George, he probably was a lot
That's a
better
good point.
in production.
They almost
Yeah.
traded for Christian Kirk during the season until he got
Yeah.
hurt. Maybe they look at that. That's a possibility.
How bad
I mean,
was
I
his
think the deal
injury?
was done. What's that?
I forget. It
How
wasn't
bad was the
ACL,
injury?
Was it?
I don't know. It was season ending,
Yeah.
right? He didn't play again.
It was
He
season.
broke
And I
his
think-
collarbone.
Collarbone.
Collarbone. You
Collarbone?
can come back from that as a quarterback's harder, but a wide receiver you come back from that. Okay. No, I'm
And
okay
from what
with
we
that.
heard, that deal was done.
Yeah,
And
that's
listen,
what he said.
Really, also, just depending on they got to do it quick, whether it be Fields or whatever. They better sign someone quick. That
Yes.
way, wide receivers, free agent wide receivers, have an
Thank you.
idea of who their quarterback's going to be. But man,
Excellent point.
you want to talk about whether it's Russell Wilson or Fields, if that's their plan, right? Man, I wonder how much of an effect that would have. That okay, Russell Wilson's the guy who wants to come to Pittsburgh, or Fields is the guy who wants to come to Pittsburgh. Like that, I don't know.
Oh,
That's
this
a good
is
one, Ron.
Guys with
I hadn't heard this before, but Mark Cabale just predicted like 2 days ago that he thinks that the team will end up acquiring Christian Kirk. He said it in his mailbag post. He said week 1 in 2025 is different. He said, I think that they'll have him on the team. That's my prediction, my mid-January prediction. The offense, Justin Fields, Jalen Warren, Pat Fryermuth, George Pickens, Christian Kirk, Calvin Austin, Broderick Jones, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, Sayamalu, Fatanu.
I mean, it's not going out on a big, a big limb. I mean,
Yeah.
they almost had him in.
I mean, he's under contract,
October.
so it would be
It's-
a trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't have to give up much. It's a 4th rounder for Christian.
Yeah.
Kirk,
You
I
said
think.
Jalen Warren, so he kind of is with me where he believes they're gonna meet whatever team's offer to keep him and bring him back since he's a
Oh
restricted
yeah, he's
free
not
agent.
going anywhere.
Look, if
He's
you
not
brought in
going
Kirk as a solid number 2, I still don't know what the hell you're going to do with Pickens. I mean, yes, I would love to keep him, but I just can't see how anybody on this coaching staff is going to somehow rein him in. And if you keep him, you got to pay him because he's not going to play on a on a lame duck contract.
It's the $1 million question. Do you give this kid 3 years, $60 million with
It's
40
another
million
reason why
guaranteed?
most people think they're going to trade him. But man, it's
a risky.
wide receiver purgatory if you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a hard look at all this, man.
Kirk's-
Maybe you sign him, and if he's a headache, you try to trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, you wouldn't get anything for him. I mean, you
Yeah,
really
I
wouldn't
just-
get anything for him.
They've really
Yeah.
backed themselves in the corner by not drafting or signing or trading for anybody the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Now the cupboard's bare, and they don't
Roman
have.
Wilson. Past draft. They fucked
Roman
up this
Wilson.
past draft.
They drafted Roman Wilson.
He's still trying to catch that train, Leanne. It's going to be. We'll see if he catches it by
I'm trying to
April.
jump on that
I-
moving train or
I
whatever.
Oh,
it
my
was.
I
goodness.
think he got hit by the train, and that's why he doesn't get to play. I don't know.
I am like
Yeah.
most interested to see what happens with him, which is absurd. Like somebody we barely got to see at all. And I am so fascinated by his story and what the hell went wrong with him. I can't wait till we actually get some like real dirt on what went wrong with him this season. Because there's
At this
gotta be
point,
more
bring
than
back
that.
AB.
Huh?
Whoa.
You
This
say
point,
bring
bring
back
back AB. If we're going to be dysfunctional, let's be entertaining.
I'm
When you-
curious though, how much longer does this the no action at all have? I know we're already concerned, but how long does it have to go on before we think, okay, we are now slamming doors in the faces of free agents that might want to come here? Because
You talking about
for me,
getting a
it's like
quarterback?
another week. Yeah, no, to start making any decisions on anything right now, it's just nothing. Like it's
Well,
they can't-
decisions are being made. No one's saying anything.
That's why they got to move quick. They got to get the quarterback quick.
Yeah.
I think we might be in for a little wait. before we get a
So
quarterback or anything.
if we're here next week, next episode, and we are pretty much in the
I
same
guarantee
place
they're not
as
going to do
far
anything
as
in a week.
No, nothing's going to happen that fast.
No,
We've
exactly.
got
That's going to happen before the Super Bowl.
Well, free agency doesn't
Yeah.
start technically till
Right.
March.
till
right?
March. Yep.
So-
So we've got lots of time to
But
Guys,
do in our
like
misery.
they better do it quickly because wide receivers
Well, as
are
far
going
as
to be caring about
what about
who their
coaching?
quarterback's going to be because it's all about
coaching,
making that money.
you could see something.
Coaches,
Like-
yes,
like
not
staff.
But
players.
you're not going to.
Yeah.
They don't fire coaches. They don't, and nobody's up. The only one up is
Yeah.
Dunbar. We want him back,
You're
except for Bob. Bob doesn't want him. But I mean, I could give or take Dunbar. He's not going to make a difference in the
Bob's on
grand scheme of
drugs.
things.
I don't know how in the hell out of all these guys you'd be okay with him going.
I want them all gone. There's not one person on this
I mean-
coaching staff who I want to retain.
In that kind of thing, yeah, like tear it down kind of thing, yes. But like if the only coach we lose is Carl Dunbar, that sucks. That's what I'm gonna say. Like
If that's the only
Yeah.
change, yeah.
if it's the opposite of what Bob's saying, where the only one we lose is Carl Dunbar, that really sucks. Now
Yeah, it
if
does.
they all go, I'm with you, Bob. Like I'm with you on that. If they all go, fine. But damn, the only one we get rid of is the guy that does have some players that have done well.
Yeah, I mean, where are we going to find a defensive line coach who's going to help the defense give up 300 yards in a playoff game?
Yeah,
That's not on
I mean, I
Dunbar
get it.
though. I mean,
I get it.
partially, yeah, but that's scheme. That's
But
that's the big guy. That's not Dunbar.
And
Yeah.
yet
That's
again,
some pretty good
it's the
defensive linemen.
conflicting trains of thought. Because I can understand if you want to blame Mike Tomlin for all the defensive stuff, but then it can't be too much on Terrell Austin and Dunbar and all. So if it's all on Tomlin, then don't make Dunbar of all people the scapegoat.
Terrell Austin was
Just a weird
defensive
decision.
coordinator when we hired him. I mean, you could make I mean, he's only ever had one good defense until he came to Pittsburgh, and then even then, the defenses haven't been what you think. I mean, the sacks and the turnovers. We had more sacks and turnovers under Butler. I saw the stat going around.
Yeah, Butler
this
blitzed
weekend.
more. Butler
Yeah.
blitzed more than
No, you're
these guys
yeah.
do.
Really
I think I
did.
saw it the other day. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
I
the
think we're going to
perception.
save the IDing the top needs for the draft, and we'll do
Yeah, I
that
was gonna
with a
say,
segment in maybe
We're working on that.
the next
Yeah,
show or
we got
something
we
like
got
that.
time.
That's going to be probably an ongoing
Oh, my God.
conversation because your top needs might change drastically depending on what you
They're
do.
going to get sick.
Although I
of the
will have a
draft
mock
talk
out
when it starts.
on every Tuesday on my social media. I will have a mock out tomorrow.
Oh, you saw
Guys.
tomorrow? Nice.
Is the best wide receiver available if you took his brain out, Deontay Johnson? I mean, he's the most talented. He's still
I
only
knew
28
Dave was
years
gonna-
old.
I knew Dave was going to bring this up. I fucking knew it.
He's the best. He's
I
the
saw
best
DeAndre
talent.
Johnson, and I'm like, Dave's going to bring him up as the guy. He's going to bring
What's
him up as
crazy
the
to
guy.
me is that George Pickens was better behaved when Deontay Johnson was there, and everybody blamed Deontay Johnson. I'm like,
I mean, I can't
he's
defend him
done
because
real well since he left Pittsburgh.
yeah, I can't defend him. He's been cut by every franchise in the league by now.
I
But
can't defend him,
Dave,
but seriously, can't blame him
he's
for Pickens.
talent-wise,
He will never-
age-wise.
He will never wear another Steeler uniform again.
I know.
Never.
But you guys brought up
Deontay-
AB, so I can bring up Deontay Johnson.
He's
Well,
that
I
kid's
think
wore
saying-
4 jerseys in the last 13 months. Like,
No,
This
you wouldn't, money
conversation
bags.
shows you the lowering of the bar for how we see talented Steelers wide receivers that we're arguing about getting Deontay Johnson back.
Well,
So
that's
he's
okay
not-
because Relic's all in on AB. He's ready to have him naked in a hotel
No.
pool harassing people. He's all in
Well,
on the entertainment value.
Things
I
were a
don't
lot more fun around here when AB was here, which is for lots of reasons.
let's
Yeah.
just
You
get
know,
AB
on the
and
field.
DJ back. Let's bring them back both. Them with Pickens. I mean,
Serious question. The wide receiver room this year, does anybody really think AB probably would have been at least wide receiver 2 and maybe
Not even
1A?
close. Yeah,
He's a
He would've been-
phenomenal talent.
would not-
absolutely.
you could tie one of his
him-
legs around his waist, and he'd still be better than half these guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
him
at
and
his
George
age.
Pickens.
eh,
Before the kickoff, him and George Pickens would just take their helmet off and just start beating each other into a pulp for no reason whatsoever. And that's how
Okay.
every game would begin with those two on the same team.
If I'm
When
not
he
going to win a
was
Super
talking
Bowl, at
about
least
coming back, I was
No
like, I could maybe get behind this, depending if the money was right, because like he's so freaking talented.
No,
You can't take that
I
away from that kid.
how old is AB now? Like 30, what, 3, 34?
Still young. He should still
He's
be
young.
playing.
yeah, he should
How
still
old
be
is he?
playing.
I'm looking it up
I
right
think
now, but I mean,
35,
compared
hold
to
on.
some of the other guys that we're talking about, he's not that much older. You know what I mean? We're talking about other
2010?
guys that are in that same age group. Oh, he's 36. He is older than I thought he was. I thought he was like 33.
And he's been out for
He
a
kept
bit,
himself in
too.
phenomenal shape, though. I bet you he could still play.
He did. I
Jerry
think
Rice
he'll
played till
play.
he was 42.
I mean,
Yeah.
true.
Relic wants Bell to come back.
No,
If it was
that's
between-
that's too
if it-
far. That's too
I
far.
think he's done.
You
Yeah,
thought
he-
Najee was slow?
Yeah.
Vaughn says bring back Wallace. Hashtag one.
The good old days when we had multiple wide receivers we could make fun
Right.
of
Hey,
instead of
so
just
much
one.
talent.
We had the money crew. They called themselves the money crew.
Yeah,
That was
the
a good
money
time.
That
crew.
his brain is, his body is 36, but his brain
That's a great
is
point.
84.
Yeah.
Or
That's where
maybe
the number's from?
8.4.
Yeah, 8.4
I mean, he probably
months.
couldn't wear 84 now because Cordell Patterson has it. But
Right.
So
That was.
if anyone,
I'm sorry, that's disrespectful.
Could you
Disrespectful.
imagine? Could you
Give that
imagine
man
AP comes back
84.
his team and Cordell Patterson's like, "Sorry, kid, that's my number."
Oh, he'd gut him in the freaking locker room. Take the shirt off him.
So if you're keeping score,
AB
by the
wouldn't
way,
stand for that. You
if
kidding
you
me?
went back to the preseason, then we really haven't advanced the conversation of wide receiver from where we are sitting today. So
There
it's
is no
just
an-
2 off seasons where we're talking about the same thing.
We've had the same conversation for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly,
And the
it's-
best case scenario is a crazy George Pickens combined with Darius Slayton. That's probably the best case scenario. I mean,
Right.
well, Christian Kirk
Sounds
would be better
wonderful
than
right now.
Darius Slayton. I will say
yeah,
that.
Either
I like,
one.
Yeah,
I like,
okay.
I
Would be
like
great.
Christian Kirk. If they could do
Okay.
that,
I-
that'd be
yeah, you're
great.
probably
The
right.
amount of money.
That's
If
a
you can keep
trade,
George
though, right?
Pickens'
They got a
head
trade
on.
for him, though, right?
Yeah, the guy who started
Yeah.
the wide receivers getting overpaid. Let's get him.
Oh, Christian Kirk.
Yeah. Although I
mean-
will say he is productive. I've seen him a lot in Jacksonville. He definitely, arguably, was really never their number one the whole time he was there because they brought in Ridley and they brought and Brian Thomas. But he is a solid, professional, 50 to 60 catch kind of wide receiver.
Like,
If I bring Christian
didn't they
Kirk in,
pay
I'm doing
him?
cartwheels. I've been watching Van Jefferson and Allen Robinson for
Right.
2 years. If I
Yeah.
get Christian Kirk, I'm going to be elated. It's-
Didn't they pay him like 4-year, $84 million or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
It was like
Way-
something.
To get him.
Yeah,
They
it was
broke the
way
wide
over.
receiver market.
Yeah, I remember.
We
that.
found a
That
way
was
to
funny.
we found a way to get ourselves slightly excited, maybe not excited, but we were pleased about Mike Williams. I think
I wasn't.
gets anyone bigger than that, and we might actually see cartwheels, and you'll see Dave in the background. Just
Yeah, you will. You will. Any offensive football, please. I'm begging, pleading. It's got to get better,
It's got to.
and they have to get speed
I
at
saw
running
Vaughn
back too.
said
That
we're
would be.
gonna draft 2 wide receivers. I don't know what 2 wide receivers were drafted in this draft, but
Tough draft, man.
There's
Tough
guys.
draft.
It's not as deep as some classes have been recently. I mean, there's guys out there that are, the Bond kid from Texas. I really like. Dave thinks it's a lock for us because he's got some emotional problems. I mean,
He's fast
where
with
we-
emotional problems.
That's
still
where we
written
scout.
all over it.
right up our alley.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Colbert would jump out of his chair to draft that guy. I can tell you that.
Right. Sign him immediately.
That's a Kevin Colbert guy all the way.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, in summer we need a wide receiver badly. If you haven't been keeping up,
Yeah.
I mean, and I hate to say it, and I said it was my number one reasoning last year why I wanted Brian Thomas so much. When's the last time you picked an LSU wide receiver and it went wrong?
Yeah, no doubt.
Doesn't go wrong often.
Yeah, I don't know why they can't win any. Well, I do because
They won one when Joe Burrow was there.
Yeah.
All right,
Hey, Matt.
guys. Any final thoughts on this first full official week of the off season before we put a pin in it and start moving on to bigger and
Fire someone. Fire anyone.
Fire
something.
something.
I'm
Only
still
thing
waiting
normally
for
at the end of
changes
this-
on many levels.
What's that?
Normally at the end of the season, I'm relishing any football, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of waiting for it to be done. I'm tired of seeing teams that are just showing how bad we are in multiple levels. I just want to get to the building phase and not have to be compared constantly. Random points they'll bring up. Well, this, I remember the Steelers. I'm like, just leave us alone and let us just die right now. We're all ready for this. Okay.
I
Hey,
really
3 years
hope
from
you
now, we will
celebrate.
start rebuilding.
Something to celebrate, like sign somebody,
Yes.
trade for somebody. Let's hurry up and get to the draft. I want to be excited about picks.
Thank you.
Skip to
Something.
March, April timeframe. That'd be great.
Yes, like full
Hey,
of hope.
who's going to win tonight?
Ooh.
Ohio State's going to win.
I think Ohio State wins, but I think it's closer than we think.
Oh, I forgot there was a game.
More football to watch.
Saying.
Better offenses than the Steelers. Ohio State.
Well, the Notre Dame pretty much plays a Steelers offense, so
Yeah,
They got to put up points or they're toast. I still think it's going to be closer, though, because of the fact
Someone
that
told me
defense
they
is
play a
good.
lot of man, and they're going to play man against Ohio State.
Oh,
Good
God,
night.
are you serious? Man
Good
against
night.
Ohio State?
Wow.
They're going to get boat race tonight, I have a feeling.
Okay, maybe I'll change my mind.
Notre
I'm not
Dame-
betting on it. I can tell you that much. I ain't betting.
Notre Dame's corners are pretty damn good.
They're good, but you've seen that kid for Ohio State, man? He's only
Yeah,
a
he's
freshman, too.
ridiculous. Yeah,
A lot
ridiculous.
of people think the cornerback from Notre Dame is the number one cornerback in the draft.
Bob, I'm guessing
Yeah,
you
I
think
heard
Notre
that.
Dame's going to win?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Couldn't tell.
That's where we ended up.
I think mostly because of the Michigan game, Notre Dame plays physical football. Ohio State did not react well to that when Michigan came out and hit him in the mouth. So, yeah.
Are you
it'll be
betting on
close,
the game?
but- Yes.
You got an 8.5 with the Irish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, 8.5 in the Irish. This ain't Alabama. They ain't playing the SEC.
8.5?
I'll be watching to see who's going to be hopefully there's some future Steelers that are playing tonight. That's what I'm hoping for.
There very much could be.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame corner is really good, and Egbuka. I mean, who wins that?
That's the guy.
Maybe
Yeah, that's the guy I was
black
thinking
and
of.
gold.
Egbuka.
We're going to talk
Well,
about
yeah,
what we're going to do for the
Yeah,
we'll
we're
do something for the
definitely gonna
draft
do
for sure.
something.
It'll be something.
Oh,
We'll be around. Don't worry.
Yeah, if you're a Steelers fan, watch Ibuka because that guy's got Steelers written all over him too. He's a Mike Tomlin kind of guy. He blocks. He's physical. He's a good route runner.
Like him.
Emeka Ibuka is someone to keep your eye on.
Hey, look, blocking wide receivers are not in what the Steelers want. I mean,
That's the whole reason they've had Van Jefferson and Allen Robinson, right? Those guys are blockers, quote unquote.
Robin Wilson couldn't get on the moving train.
No.
Yeah.
The best blocking wide receiver doesn't play on running plays.
Well, I think Leanne's on something. There's something else going on there. I don't think it's just, I don't know, I'm grasping at straws with these teams.
Yeah.
All right. If you have joined us tonight, we really appreciate it. We appreciate all the comments and thoughts and suggestions and your opinions on what's going on with the Steelers. We look forward to being back with you on Thursday night at 6:30, kind of talk about this next step. And we'll be talking about another position and how it went this year and what we're looking forward to in free agency for that group. You can follow all of us on social media. You can see our handles on the screen, as well as the Steelers Sanctuary page and the Steelers Sanctuary podcast page, both on Twitter. There's merchandise and the QR code up there at the top of the screen if you scan that. And if you're catching this after we've already filmed live, we'd love for you to drop us a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are and what you think about what the Steelers should do with the wide receiver position. We appreciate you guys joining us and have a good evening.
Well, he's not weird or anything, is he?
No, he's totally normal.
I think you should be working at the snack bar. You better relax, Bob.
I mean, normal for us.
All right, let's go. Now you've had enough.
Okay, crazy guy. I'm gonna go home now.